Hey, my dear students, hope you guys are all doing good. Hope you guys are all perfectly fine. I do hope and wish that you guys are following our GST lectures, CA Inter GST lectures in a perfect manner. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the scheme of valuation, how we are going to do the valuation for the test series papers. So you all are aware, recently we have launched this test series in order to provide advantage for the students. So the entire purpose of the test series, let me tell you first. See, you guys are learning the concepts. You guys are watching the classes, you are reading the books, you are learning the concepts. But to make you realize how far you are comfortable with the concepts, so how much conceptual clarity you are having, and also to increase the confidence for you to attend for the examinations, we are conducting this test series. So it will help you definitely in multiple ways. It will help you to test your knowledge. It will improve your presentation skills, and also you can reduce your exam fear by solving this test series. See, this should be taken very seriously. It is not something like, say, many people might not take it seriously. Don't do that. Take this test series very seriously. Attempt as if you are sitting in the examination and you are supposed to answer the questions. Have that kind of mindset and try to do that test series with a lot of seriousness. And answering is one part, then comes the next most important part, evaluation. So whenever your test series answers are getting evaluated, then you can find out where you are going wrong. That evaluation is very, very important. See, sometimes many a times we will be in assumption that whatever we have written is correct, but the marks will not be as expected. So you might be lacking somewhere in the presentation. You might be definitely lacking somewhere in the presentation. So you feel a lot of conviction that whatever answer you have written is very much perfect, and also you will have a conviction that you will get full marks for the answer. But the reality is, you will, when you actually watch the marks, when you actually have a look at your actual numbers, the result will not be as expected. So that means you are having a problem with the presentation. You're definitely having a problem with the presentation. So this test series, if you get your test series evaluated, that is what the advantage you are going to get. You can get familiar where you are doing wrong, what is a mistake happening, so that you can correct yourself, and these mistakes you are not going to repeat once again in the final examination. So that has been the whole objective. So I will explain. I will take up this 25% syllabus paper. So for 25 marks, whatever the question paper has been drafted. So there I will tell you what is the scheme of evaluation, how you have to present the answer so that you will get the full marks in the examination without any marks being cut. Okay, so that is the entire purpose. And as you all are aware, we have Evo Pro and Evo Smart courses. So these are all the students are adopting a lot, right? So a lot of positive feedback we are getting from the students. So thanks for your wonderful and excellent feedback. And also we have our materials. Our materials are also getting a lot of love from the students. So I hope you are already aware. So how our materials are drafted. You might also had a look at our colored material. So it's definitely, we are getting a lot of good responses for our materials and classes. Thanks for your feedback, and your feedback makes us work more and more and to put before you more and more resources. Okay, so having said that, let me do this. Let us try to do this test series of paper evaluation. So first MCQs I have given, then we will come to this question number 4. So this question number 4, this descriptive question we have given for 4 marks. Sir, what is this question about? This question is about section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. So if you read the facts of the question, they say there is a Green Haven Resident Welfare Association which manages the community services for a residential complex. As a part of its annual activities, this residential association decides to supply air conditioners to its members at a subsidized price to promote energy efficiency and provide convenience to its residents. Additionally, this residential welfare association also collects monthly maintenance, blah blah blah. So ultimately, the question is, what is the question they are asking is whether that supply of air conditioners at subsidized price, will that activity fall under supply? Will that activity fall under supply? And the main question which they are asking is justify your answer with reference to legal provisions regarding the regarding the relationship between associations and their members. So two questions are involved here. Number one, they are asking not two questions, one main question along with the proper justification. So whether the services provided by society to its members, that welfare association to its members, is it a supply or not? So this question, if it has been tested for 4 marks, if you have to get full marks for that question, so what should be the manner of presentation? See here in the answer I have highlighted clearly. So this is a question regarding section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. And also when it comes to GST, remember this format of presentation of the answer. First, what you should do is you have to present the facts, not facts. You have to present the provision. The first thing what you are supposed to do, you have to present the provision. Whatever provision they are asking, you have to write the provision in a detailed manner. So first state the provision, then state the facts, link the facts with the provision, write the conclusion. So once again I am telling you the order. First write the provision, then connect the facts to the provision, then do your analysis and write the conclusion. This order you have to definitely follow. So if you follow this order, 100% marks you are going to get from the questions. But some people are still having some old method of presentation. So we used to have an old method of presentation where there used to be facts of the case, then provision, then analysis, then conclusion. This method is no longer working. So first write the relevant provision. You need not give any kind of side headings. Provision, facts of the case, conclusion. No need to give any kind of side headings. If at all you want to give a side heading, give a side heading for conclusion. At the end you will write the conclusion, no? So there for that conclusion alone you give a side heading kind of thing. But facts and all, provision, nowhere you will be required to mention the side headings. So just directly go and hit the provision, write the provision, connect the facts of the case with the provision, write your analysis part, and then give the conclusion. That's all, you will get the full marks. Like as you could see here, how I have presented the answer is, so I have written the provision. So what I have written the provision, if you read section 7 subsection 1 clause A in the material, it says that activities or transactions which involve supply of goods or services between a person and its members or constituents for cash or deferred payment or other valuable consideration will be considered as supply as per section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. This is the entire provision of section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. So if you could write that provision clearly, you will fetch 1 mark. Write the provision correctly, you will fetch 1 mark. So once you are done with that, then comes the next one. There is also an explanation to the section. There is also an explanation to section 7 subsection 1 clause AA, which says what? Associations, clubs or similar entities and their members or constituents are deemed to be two separate persons and transactions between them are deemed as supply from one person to another. This is the explanation given to section 7 subsection 1 clause AA. So entire thing is provision. So for this main provision you will get 1 mark. For writing this explanation you will get 1 mark. So till here we have written the facts only. Now the next thing comes regarding the analysis and conclusion part. So if you look at the analysis and the conclusion part here, that is in the second paragraph. The remaining 2 marks are for that analysis and conclusion. So like if you see S, the transaction between GHRWA and its members regarding the supply of air conditioners at a subsidized prices is considered as a supply as per section 7 subsection 1 clause AA of the GST Act. So once again, if you write this conclusion finally, so analyzing along with conclusion, we are doing it. So for this you will get 1 mark. And one more thing, as per this section, any activity or transaction involving the supply of goods or services will be treated as supply. In this case, GHRWA, which is treated as a person separate from its members, is supplying air conditioners to its members for consideration. Thus, it qualifies as supplying under the GST framework. Basically, in this paragraph, we are clubbing the analysis and the conclusion. So for that, you will get 2 marks. For this entire second paragraph, you are going to get 2 marks. So for analysis, in the analysis also two provisions are involved here. One is main provision, other one is explanation. Then we have the conclusion part linking with the facts of the case with the given section. So if you present in this manner, then you are going to get the full 4 marks will be in your pocket. Okay, right. So this is what question number 1. Similarly, let me show you another descriptive question. Bhavani Builders, a construction company, is involved in constructing residential units for sale. The company has entered into agreement with buyers for individual residential units, each one for consideration of 1.2 crore per unit. Out of the total amount, 90 lakhs has been received on 10th of Jan. So they have given various dates like what is the date of completion, what is the date of first occupancy, and when the consideration was received, that details are given. So ultimately what is the question is, based on the details above, analyze the GST implications on the receipt of the 90 lakh rupees and the remaining balance. So what is the implications of GST? See, this is relating to 2 provision. So whenever I say construction related activities, 2 provisions will be involved here. One will be related to schedule, schedule 2, other one will be related to schedule 3. So 2 provisions will be there. First you have to write both the provisions. So if you see here, so once again let me do the analysis for you. This I have already done it, valuation. So I will tell you once again here. So 2 provisions are involved here. One is schedule 2 para number 5B, which says that construction of complex building, civil structure, etc. Construction or a part thereof, including a complex building or intended for sale, wholly or partly, except where the entire consideration has been received, will be considered, except when entire consideration has been received after issuance of completion certificate were required by the competent authority on the date of its first occupation, whichever is earlier. This is what provision has been telling. Schedule 2, para number 5b. Okay. Then comes one more related paragraph. In Schedule 3, we have para number 5. This is one more provision. This is one more provision, para number 5 of Schedule 3, which says sale of land and sale of completed building is neither a sale of service nor sale of goods. So that provision you have to write. So two linked provisions are there. So for first you have to present both these provisions. Now once you have presented both of this provision, now comes the conclusion part. So here they have given two dates, 12th of January, which is the date on which the registration certificate has been issued. 8th of January, that is the date of first occupation. Whichever is earlier, it becomes 8th of Jan. Since entire consideration has been received after that effective date, it is neither considered as supply of service, not even considered as supply of goods. So for this conclusion part, for this analysis and the conclusion part, you will get 2 marks. For writing this provision, 1 mark you are going to get. Clear? So this is what the valuation mechanism for this respective question. Guys, practice is the only solution. The more you practice, the more you will get the presentation skill. Now let us come to one more thing here. Expert Limited, next question, once again for 4 marks. Expert Limited, a registered entity under GST, has demerged its operations with effect from 31st of December. Registration has been cancelled. They are telling you what is the date on which registration was cancelled and when that cancellation order has been passed, what is the date of that, when it was served, and the applicant wants to make an application for revocation of cancellation of registration. So finally the question is whether the application for revocation of cancellation, is it valid? You are required to examine the technical veracity of the advice given by tax consultant. So this is the question from registration chapter. So in the registration chapter, we have seen one procedure regarding revocation of cancellation of registration. What is the maximum time limit available? So we can do it within 90 days and it can be even extended by 180 days more. So like that we have read one provision. So here how you have to present the answer. So once again, first you have to write the provision. See here, always provision first. See here, always provision first. So first they have given that provision, what is the time limit and all. So like if you see here 90 days. So you have to do it within 90 days. However, that period can be extended by the commissioner or an officer authorized by him, not below the rank of additional commissioner or joint commissioner, for a period not exceeding 180 days. So write the provision clearly, 2 marks you will get. Now comes the analysis and the conclusion part. Thus in the given case, Expert Limited can apply for revocation of cancellation of registration within a period of 90 days. And they have calculated what is the 90 days from the date of service of the order, which falls on 7th of February. So then you have to write the conclusion. The application submitted for revocation of cancellation of registration is not valid in law, as the same has not been submitted within the prescribed time limits. Thus the advice given by the tax consultant of Expert Limited is valid in law. So for this analysis part, for this provision part, you are going to get 2 marks. For this analysis and the conclusion part, another 2 marks you are going to get. Totally 4 marks will be there. See, and one more thing here is in GST, in subjects like GST and income tax, you need not reproduce the content as it is. You should write the phrases which are close enough. See, in a subject like audit or in a subject like law and all, you might be required to reproduce the exact phrases. But when it comes to GST and Income Tax Act, there is no requirement of reproducing the exact phrases, but your answer should follow one sequence. Your answer should follow one protocol. This is what that protocol. So always one simple rule, guys. There is even if I analyze all the questions also, this is going to be the final and ultimate conclusion. First write the provision, link the facts, and finally give the conclusion. This order if you follow, there is nothing stopping you from getting full marks. Okay, so here also we have done the same thing. Now let us do one more question analysis. XYZ Private Limited paid remuneration to Mr. Madan for the services rendered by him in the capacity of a director. Company deducted TDS under section 192 and 194J of Income Tax Act. Gross payments made were 8,50,000 and 11,50,000 respectively for salary and also for professional services. Determine the taxability of the above transaction and also specify who is liable to pay the GST amount. Once again, 2 provisions are involved. First one, whether this service is taxable or not. Second one, if taxable, who is required to pay the GST? Is it required to be paid under reverse charge mechanism or is it required to be paid under the forward charge mechanism? So once again, if you have a look at the suggested answer here, right, see here, I think this question is only for 3 marks, no? Yeah. So once again, 2 points, 2 conclusions. First, they are asking whether it is taxable or not. Number 2, if taxable, who is required to pay the GST amount? So since the question is only for 3 marks, for each point, for answering each aspect, you are going to get 1.5 mark, total 2 marks you will get it. See here how they have presented. Remuneration paid to director for professional services which is subjected to TDS under section 194J of the Income Tax Act. is outside the scope of Schedule 3. These phrases are important. Outside the scope, or you can say it is not covered under Schedule 3. Any of the phrase you can use it. You need not use the phrase only it is outside of the scope of Schedule 3. Even you can also say it is not covered under Schedule 3. That also conveys the same meaning. You will get marks. Don't worry. So it is not outside, it is outside of the scope of Schedule 3. That means it is service. Schedule 3 talks about which activities are neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services. When I say something is out of Schedule 3, that means it is a service. And the tax is payable under reverse charge mechanism. The tax is payable under reverse charge mechanism by the recipient. So company XYZ Limited, hence 11,50,000 is treated as supply and GST is payable by XYZ Limited under reverse charge mechanism. Sir, some portion is getting paid in the form of salary, no? 8,50,000. What about the taxability of that? If you look at the question, they have asked the full amount. What is the taxability of the entire amount? We addressed that amount which has been subjected to TDS under section 194J. What about the TDS which has been, what about the amount of payment which has been subjected to TDS under section 194, 192 salary? That is falling within the scope of Schedule 3, it is neither considered as supply of goods, not even considered as supply of services, because these are the services provided by an employee to his employer in the course of the employment. So that also we have to answer. So 8,50,000 paid to the director subjected to TDS under section 192 of the Income Tax Act is not taxable since the services provided by an employee to the employer in the course or in relation to his employment are outside the scope of supply in terms of Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. So by presenting this answer in two points, you are going to get the full marks. Okay, right. Now let me address one more question here now. Taxpayer Shankar is a trader who has opted for composition levy under section 10 subsection 1 of both taxable and exempted goods exempted by way of a notification. It has one retail showroom A1 in Punjab and another retail showroom A2 in Rajasthan, both selling taxable as well as exempted goods. Total turnover, they have given what is the total turnover of the last financial year. This is not important for us, but what is the turnover in the current quarters, that also they have given. So now they are asking you to decide what is the amount of tax which is required to be paid under composition levy under section 10 subsection 1 and 10 subsection 2. So these kind of questions we have done. Ultimately the objective is they are asking you to calculate what is the amount of tax you are required to pay here. But we have to present this in a proper manner. This is the presentation format for calculation of taxes which has been given in the study material suggested answers. Even in the study material also illustrations we have how to calculate the tax liability of a person who has opted for composition levy. This format has been suggested. You have to follow the same format. So they have given what is the last year's turnover. This is not relevant for us. What is the turnover in the first quarter? So on that 1% you have to calculate. But the most important thing is just if you calculate the tax liability, it alone will not be enough. Even you have to write the provision. Why 1% on the total turnover, or why 1% on only taxable turnover? Why? Because in 10 subsection 1 we have seen if you are a manufacturer or if you are any restaurant service provider, you have to pay that 1% or 2.5% on your total turnover. However, if you are a trader, you are required to pay that 1% only on your taxable turnover. So that provision, that you have to write it as a note point. If you are not writing it, you are losing your marks. Just calculating the liability will not give you full marks. So if you write it till here, you might get only 1.5 to 2 marks. You will not get full marks. But this note, whatever you are writing, this will fetch you the marks. So like as you could see here, a supplier other than manufacturer and restaurant service provider, basically a trader who is eligible for composition levy under section 10 subsection 1 and 10 subsection 2 has to pay GST at the rate of 1% of the turnover of only taxable supplies of the goods and services in the state. So if you don't write this note, you are not going to get the full marks. Okay, next. Now we have another question. Right, so this one. Determine whether the suppliers in the following cases are eligible for composition levy under section 10 subsection 1 and 10 subsection 2 of the CGST Act, provided their turnover in the preceding year does not exceed 1.5 crore. Raghu Enterprises is engaged only in trading of pan masala in Rajasthan and is registered in the same state. Ram Manufacturers has registered office in Punjab and Haryana and sells goods manufactured by it in the neighboring states. So two sub questions have been asked. One is a detail oriented, other one is straightforward one. So how that answer has to be written? So here they are talking about the turnover limits and all for registration. We know we have done one analysis in our regular classes. In our EVO batch also we have done the same thing. So what we have told, first we have to see from which state they are making supply. Are they making supply from MMNT? If yes, taxable supply from MMNT. If yes, 10 lakhs. No, then we have to check next step. Are they making supply from UP mats? If yes, 20 lakh. If they're also not making any supply from UP mats, then in all other cases, if you are engaged in exclusive supply of the goods, then the applicable threshold limit will be 40. If you are engaged in supply of services or supply of both, then the applicable threshold limit will be 20. But however, in some circumstances, even though you are exclusively engaged in the supply of the goods, if you are engaged in manufacturing of certain products, notified products, then you will not be able to opt for composition levy. And if you look at the question here, the product, this Raghu Enterprises, which is into the business of pan masala, this is one of the notified products. If you are engaged in this, then you might not be entitled to enhance that. You might not be able to enjoy that enhanced threshold limit. But that manufacturing, trading, when you cannot manufacture, when you cannot do the trading, all that we have discussed in our registration, composition, supply differences, no. So now how you have to present this answer. So like if you look at the answer here, a supplier, I will highlight the key terms which you have to write. A supplier engaged in the manufacture of the notified goods during the preceding financial year is eligible for composition levy. Sorry, this question is regarding composition levy, right? Sorry, my mistake. It is not regarding registration requirements. It is a question regarding composition levy. So sorry, my mistake. So you are not same. The provisions are going to remain the same. If you are engaged in certain products, if you are engaged in manufacturing of certain products, you will not be eligible for composition levy. So if you are engaged in manufacturing of notified goods during the preceding financial year, you will not be eligible for composition scheme under section 10 subsection 1 and 10 subsection 2. Now you have to not just write it, you have to list out what are that notified products also, like ice cream and other edible ice, whether or not containing cocoa, pan masala, tobacco, manufactured tobacco substitutes, aerated waters, fly ash bricks, fly ash aggregate, fly ash blocks. So all these are notified products that you have to mention. Then, however, in the given case, Raghu Enterprises is engaged only in trading. If you are doing the manufacturing, then you will be not eligible for composition levy. But in the given case, they have clearly mentioned he is doing trading. So if his turnover does not exceed 1.5 crore, he is still eligible for composition levy. So this is one question. So if you look at here, whenever in generally most of the cases when ICA is asking sub questions, for each sub question they will allocate the marks. Say for example, if they are asking this question for 4 marks, they will say specifically mention 3 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks, like that. If they have allocated marks here, then that weightage will be allocated. In some cases, what ICA will do is they will not allocate the marks for sub points. They will allocate the marks for the direct question. They told for this question 4 marks, but in this question 2 sub points are there. Now how ICA will divide the marks, sir? ICA will divide the marks on the basis of the length of the answer. So if you could see here, the second point is very simple. In the second point, you are engaged in interstate outward supplies, then you are not eligible for composition levy. Simple, straightforward, small point. So since this point is very, very small, out of 4 marks, the ICA might allocate only 1 mark for this, and they can allocate 3 marks for this larger answer. Or they can do 2.5 marks for this, or they can make 1.5 marks for this. So in case if one question contains a sub questions for which there is no separate weightage has been given, only for the entire question weightage has been given, then ICA will divide the weightage on the basis of the length of the answer. But this will happen in very rare cases. Generally, when more than one question is involved in the sub questions, they will allocate the marks here itself. They will say 3 marks here, 1 mark here, or 2 marks for this and 2 marks for this. Like this, they will mention against that each sub question what is the weightage they are going to allocate. Accordingly, they will do the valuation. In case if the weightage is not allocated for sub questions, depending on the length of the answer, depending on the detail of the answer involved, they will divide the marks. Okay, next. We have one more last question. So this question might look very lengthy, but the question is all about in case of that composite supply of providing the movie theater, admission to movies or admission to movies along with the food combo tickets, what will be the taxability? Same question we have even in our material also. We have in our material also same question. The same question even we have discussed in our classes also. The same question I have given it here just to test how you will be able to present this answer. The question might look very lengthy, but answer is very straightforward. So first here also you have to write the provision. The combo supply of cinema tickets and snacks is a composite supply, wherein entire supply will attract a GST at the rate applicable to service of exhibition of cinema being the principal supply. Further, it is an intra-state supply since this place of supply is a Punjab. Thus, in the given case, rates of GST are to be 9%. 3 questions they have asked. See here. So first the provision. They are asking what is the place of supply, what is the rates of GST. So first thing you will have that weightage for the provision. Then they are asking one more question, what is the place of supply, and they are also asking what is the rate of GST. So you see here how I have given the weightage, 1 mark for this, half mark, half mark. So for this 1 point, 2 marks will be allocated here. For this another part of the answer, another 2 marks here. There are also 2 points. Supply of snacks is an individual supply. In that case, what will be the place of supply, what will be the rate of GST. Clear? So this is how the answers are going to get allocated. But when it comes to the papers like taxation, we have an edge. As I have told, you need not write the analysis and conclusion as it is in the suggested answer. You can use your own sentence formation, but provisions you have to write as it is. Provisions you have to write as it is. But when it comes to conclusion and analysis, there you can use your own language, but try to make sure that you're not like writing it in a more generalized format. Technicality should be there. So this is just the beginning of the test series. This is only 25% of the weightage. When you do that 50%, 75%, 100% of the weightage, then you will get even better. Then you get comfortable with every test series you are attempting for. Okay, right. So this is what regarding the scheme of valuation for the GST. More or less similarly, the same thing even the ICA also follows. Clear? I hope this video will be helpful for you. All the very best, my dear students. So please don't waste your time and energy. Dedicate all your efforts and resources on the preparation and on learning the content and getting a success in the examination. Bye everyone. Take care.